Peace, family. 19 Keys tapping in with you. I appreciate y'all locking in one time with me, especially during the times that we in right now, which are very dangerous and hectic times. And we should all be paying attention to the signs that are here. Um, I hope that everybody is safe where they are, right? And I want to talk a little bit about what I believe this all means and what the message that we're receiving right now, right? Being in California and what I've been seeing this entire time, like living in California, right? What I've been told this means and what I believe it means. You feel me? Cool. All right, let me put this up here as well. And I want to put together also a cautionary message for people today. First, I want to say, peace to everybody. These are very perilous and dangerous times that we live in, right? This is a time of revelation, right? For all of us to pay attention. Whether something is happening to you or you're fortunate enough to be a spectator while something is happening to others. And the reason I say fortunate is because a wise man learns from other people's misfortunes so that he doesn't have to go through them his or herself. And I believe that we should all pay attention to the misfortunes that are happening here in California, for they are a revelation of the times that we live in, right? And I want to caution all those who speak with haste and who do not know how to edit their tongue. I think that too often that we turn people tragedies so fast into content. And it's not that, when everybody has independent media, you can say whatever you want to, right? You can speak however you want to. That's your prerogative. But I think that we're living in a time where people sacrifice accuracy for speed. I'm all for different conspiracy theories because I do think that there is a lot of things that are going on in the world that requires us to have deeper thinking. But the issue that I find with people today is that they're not putting much thought into their theories, right? And all they want is speed. They just want the speed, right? Let me be the first to punch. And this is very dangerous. Number one, we live in a world now we won't be able to tell what's true from falsehood, right? We have enough artificial intelligence out there, right? And we have enough false information that's out there that we should have some sort of standard before we speak and before we say things. And by that, I mean all of us. I mean all of us. Being here in California, and in LA specifically, you feel the tragedy, of course, differently. Just like any people that are actually in the midst of the storm experiencing it, it's different than being a spectator on the outside. The energy in LA is very low. It's very depressing and defeatist, if I would say. This is a place that has been the hallmark of the idea of dreams, that people come here searching for a new life, new opportunities, the ability for them to make something of themselves within this world. Whether they seek or find that or not, they leave the place that they come from seeking here for an opportunity. And it represented this idea of America for a very long time. Ever since COVID, that idea has dwindled over time. And the quality of living here has consistently decreased homeless population continue to rise. All the tech companies in the world have diverged here, right? And a lot of them you starting to see leave here because of politics. And I've been studying a lot, and I've been asking a lot for guidance and wisdom during this time to understand what is happening around me, right? And in my studies, what I keep coming back to is the happy people that prophesize that man would prioritize his technology and extracting from the land and his dominance over harmony with the land and with culture. And it got me thinking about my trip that I was in Japan, and I went to go visit this temple, and it had 5 floors, each representing a different element, and one of those elements being void, and of course, one of those elements being fire. And the law of impermanence came to mind. And the law of impermanence speaks towards the fact that life is ever changing. Nothing ever remains the same, right? That we connect so much to a material world, but we should focus on the immaterial things because nature, right, showcases that things are ever changing and flow. And so when we're over focused on our material possession, qualifications, right, that's when we lose the most because we're holding on to something that is supposed to be enjoyed in the present and then let go. Easily said, but not easily done, especially in the over material world. But I thought that that wisdom that I got being out in Japan was so fitting because this temple that I was in front of had burnt down. And this is a temple that had been built up in the 500s AD or something. And it had been burnt down and it had been restored. And part of the wisdom of that was realizing that even a temple that is shrined in all this nobility and royalty can come and go. A fire can overtake it, and then it can be brought back again. And so it wasn't that you held on to the material representation of this temple, but even the temple had to flow with nature and time. But it stood as a testament to the laws of the universe and the laws of nature. And as man builds up his worlds, we spend our whole life gathering things, trophies, awards. We build these spaces that we call homes. And we built these spaces on top of nature when nature used to be our home. But our home is now away from nature. And so we sit in these cubicles, in these dark homes, right? Trying to protect ourselves from the climate, from the weather, from the animals, from all these different things. But you realize when God sets something in motion, there's nothing that can stop that. And when we think about fire, fire is an element of purification and cleansing of the land. And I don't say this lightly because as somebody who can't walk outside and breathe the air literally right outside the door, I understand. And I also think about, damn, what if I lost everything in a fire? What would I hold on to? What if you lost everything in a fire right now? How much would it mean to you? The place that you're living. Nothing is permanent. We get access to these things, but they are not permanent, right? We get to enjoy these things for the present moment, but they are not permanent. Our soul, our spirit, the time that we spend with loved ones and family, All right, our values, those are the things that we should always cherish the most. So no matter what we lose outside of ourselves, we will always be whole. And in the time that we're living in right now, we're living in the time of cleansing of the year of 9, when things are ending. The 9 represents end. And you have to understand that we live in a very patterned mathematical world where everything operates off frequency. And that 9 already starting this year off so strong. Starting this year off with terrorist attacks and huge fires and loss of property. But nobody talks about the loss of wildlife, animals. And it's because we're so out of harmony with the land. We just think about extracting and building on top of, and we don't know how to flow and be and flourish with it. We don't know how to set cattle loose upon mountains to eat vegetation that's old so that it doesn't start fires, or how to utilize the ancient indigenous practices to where they create fire lines and they burn certain things at certain cycles so that they can prevent these things from happening. We're supposed to live in harmony with nature, but we lost that completely. So we wonder, why is there missing 17 million? Why haven't we created a new drone technology? And not even thinking about what is the human way to do things, not the technological way. That's our resources. But we've already had indigenous skill sets in ways to handle living on the land and living with the land and in harmony with the land. But we've lost that. We've lost that for material. And then we look at the United States of America in a time where the elites, the ruling class, is meeting over one dead president who died, Jimmy Carter. He died. And they all at a funeral. And the markets are closed. The money markets are closed because of a death. And they all meeting and speaking and laughing with each other, while the people were just up in arms against each other to vote in a ruling authority over them. But this authority doesn't care about the people on the planet. They care about more resources, more extraction. And you cannot fathom the mind of the ruling class because they only want power. And the average human being just wants a certain quality of life. But we are not judging the framework of America based on quality of life. We're judging it based on gross domestic product. Because you've become cattle. So when things burn down, they grab the land, they build on it again, they bring in the Olympics, and the cycle is rewashed over. And who's left to be punished? The people, those who can't afford to move and travel, because the plane tickets are so high. You can't just hop on a plane and just travel. Gas is high and food is high and all this inflation. As we addressing the issues that's going on in the world, look at all these things that's making it hard for you to lose, because reobtaining the wealth is now even more expensive. Housing prices have been driven so high that a person can't dream about affording an asset unless they're already an elite. There has to get to a spiritual and philosophical place about our ideas on how we live, about what's wealth, what is holistic wealth. Because it's not just the obtaining of material things. These things can be washed away. God can decide that he, in the snap of a fingers, fire can cleanse the land, and we have nothing but the memories of the things that we held on to, which is why we don't worship and idolize things, because they are impermanent. Earlier last year in Florida, we seen the hurricanes come and the weather just washed the people off. Now we seen fire come in, cleanse the land again. And unless we learn from the lessons, these things will continue to happen. We seen McDonald's on fire. There were generated pictures of Hollywood being on fire, but unfortunately, the fire did not reach the Hollywood sign. That would have been too poetic. They tell you on every elite or celebrity on whose houses are being destroyed, but the middle class and all those houses that have been destroyed, billions of dollars become the faceless. If we don't get right with ourselves, if we don't get right as a people in harmony with land and spirit and soul, fast, what happened in California will happen across all of America. Yeah, I'm sure there was many people that say, well, they didn't think it was going to happen in California. You see something bad happen in another place, and you say, well, that's over there. So you come up with your ideas, your conspiracies, you turn people's lives into content, you laugh about it, you joke about it, you politicize it, you genderize it, you whatever you come up with, and you say that's them over there until it's in your backyard, until you walking outside and there's ash falling from the sky like it's Pompeii. Like we just had a volcanic eruption, but that ash is the ash of capitalism and greed and money not being spent on prevention, but policing. Let's police the people, police them like cattle and property instead of let's focus on uplifting the people. It's really sad to see so many people live their whole life, work, put in time, resources, energy, passion, build something, and then lose it. But if we don't have a culture that is in harmony with loss and the elements of loss and understanding that you can never lose anything when you have yourself, it's always going to be more depressing than it has to be. We're way too materialistic in this world because if I take all these material things that I have, I'll still be a wealthy man. Not because of money, not because of any of those things, but because I know myself and I understand. And if it's Allah's will, well, then I'm all for it. As long as I understand the lesson in it. He can have everything as long as he allow me to keep my mind, myself, my spirit, my faith, my belief. He can have everything else. And a wise man once said, just because something is simple don't mean it's easy. So we can say these things. It don't mean it's easy. All of us will have to experience loss in life. If you are lucky, you experience loss because you bury those who don't have to bury you. And it's a responsibility. But we know that Hollywood, you got Calabasas in Hollywood, and you look at these places, and they can afford the loss. What I'm saddened about is the people who can't afford it. I'm saddened about that America is so sick that the people walk outside and they breathe in the air. And as they inhale, those who have cardiovascular issues and heart problems and lung problems and all of these issues already, they can't afford the health care to go get fixed. And now it's creating more long-term issues. After in the same 10-year cycle, they was already going through COVID just 5 years ago. And it still haven't been fixed yet. We still fighting over DEI. We still fighting over racism and classism. And we think that we in the future because we're able to extract resources from the land to create technology that's meaningless without understanding the power of the resources we extracted and the cost that comes along with it. So we go out in the world and We get all these things only to lose ourselves. And this is dangerous. This wasn't my focus today. My focus has been putting together projects and books and having long meetings behind the scenes. And we got so many things to do. The last thing that I wanted to do was to have to think about how do we relocate and how do we move. And I just told myself I want to find some place where I can sit for a while and I can relax and I can think. But a lot, he has his other plans. They say man got his plans, but then God got his own plans. God be like, I appreciate you. I understand you got your plans, but I got some too for you. He said, I see your plans. I see your calendar. I know you was like, I'm gonna sit down. But he was like, listen, I got other things on my calendar than what you got. So we have to flow in this time for our mind to be ready for adaptation, because we have to adapt to the times and we have to learn how to flow with them. So it develops our resilience during this time as everything is changing. New technological advancements. We had the CES show, and they're creating technology just to create technology, just to take valuable extractions from the land to create things that you don't need so you can buy more things to consume, and fatten the pig. And then distract your mind more as you lose your mind, and then create a remedy to help you with that. After all these things are happening, and you still don't know yourself. So you have to be resilient as everything is changing, as we go into a new world and more news hits you. And more information comes to the left and the right. And then there's a new issue. And then there's a new skill you have to learn. It is the age where you have to be adaptable and you have to be malleable and you have to learn, which means you have to consistently put yourself through hard tasks so you stretch yourself. Because you will be tested. If you pray for an easy life, you will live a hard one. If you pray for a hard life, you will live an easy one. Because you will be prepared for what is to come versus getting caught off guard and trying to react in the moment. It is your training that kicks in during these times. And we living in times and we watching other people's unfortunate events, that tells us to get ready. That tells us to get our things together. If somebody else, somewhere else, their lesson is supposed to help us so that we are prepared when that sign hits us. I got a call, a message like everybody else in LA, and it says evacuate. And you get caught up in your world and you might not be thinking about these things. You're not thinking about preparation. You're not thinking about what do you need to have in times of emergency, because you've been living so comfortable so long that when emergency hits, you don't have the stamina for it. So it increases your anxiety. And now you don't know how to think. But if you're somewhere outside of this, same way you watch what's going on in Gaza, that should let you know injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So let me be prepared, because that same thing can come to my doorstep. And how would you react? Because you don't care until it happens to you. You don't care until it happens to somebody that you know. I can count on a finger how many calls that I got, people that actually called me to check up on me. See, people will call you more during your birthday or a party or something. They want to get in somewhere. They'll call you all day for that, to celebrate with you. Tragedy really lets you know who's with you, who's actually thinking about you during this time. I done seen people make every conspiracy about this situation in California and ain't called their loved ones in California. You got time to get online and make content and figure out all this bull, and you ain't had time to call your loved ones, your family, your friends to even check up on them. But you got time to sit in front of a whole entire camera production set, come up with all these theories, because all you thinking about is money. All you thinking about is how do you capitalize off a moment. And that's the sickness with America, and that's the sickness with the world. We have lost empathy. We've forgotten how to be human during these times. We forgot how to have compassion in the world. We forgot how to be men to help others in their dire times of need. Forgot how to be women to offer some lending, nurturing energy. So we've lost more than we know. You thought that you lost because you lost a home. No, you lost way before the home was gone. So, man, walking outside this morning and seeing the ash hit my shoulder and knowing about the revelation of the times that we go live in, if you don't take what's happening around you as a sign for the times to come, California has the largest population. This is essentially a country. The most expensive areas in California, real estate wise, have been devastated by nature. I don't think God is happy with America. And then you ask yourself why, and you ask yourself, do you participate in the very system and the things that will anger God in the first place? Because during this time, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, it's your righteousness that will sustain you. And I hear the conspiracies. It was a laser. It was an energy directed weapon. It was a UFO. It was this, that, and the third. And it's funny, we live in a time where we don't give God credit for nothing anymore. Everybody want to be born again, new Christians, and you Muslim on Friday, and you're spiritual and all of this thing. But soon as a natural disaster happen or anything, and it could be them. But why do you give man so much power and you give God none? Yet you claim to have so much faith in one. Does God do nothing anymore? Or is it just man that runs the world at this point? Do you not find God in nothing, in none of his messages, and none of his signals, and nothing he tells you anymore? Do you not hear God in the wind? Do you not hear him in the fire? Do you not hear him in the hurricane? Do you not hear him at all anymore? That is the question we must ask ourselves. Because I don't see much conversation about God at all. All we talking about is a man, toys, and trinkets, and he don't have little power in comparison to the great one. Because when the fire came, everybody ran and left all their possessions. So those things that man made weren't worth anything. We talk about money like money solves everything. It is not the lack of money that they have for the problems. It's the lack of compassion that they have for them. It's the lack of harmony with the environment that they have. It's the lack of wisdom, because you came in this country, particularly in California, and you destroyed the indigenous ways and the indigenous population. And now all of the wisdom of how to live with the land has went along with it. And now you have to spend billions of dollars to repair damage that could have been repaired with the wealth of wisdom that comes from the tribes that live here, the native wisdom that comes from here. I want to thank you all that have reached out to me, that have offered any sort of assistance. I'm gonna let you know that I'm fine. When I said that I was going to evacuate, I mean that we may completely evacuate, and I put that out there as an opportunity to collaborate. Number one, with somebody that owns properties and Airbnb. So I'm looking for a place to shoot outside of LA. But number two, I want to be able to take some of my possessions as I think about this and give them away, right? I have a lot of different things that I don't need. This material possessions, it just reminds me that We hold on to too many things. And imagine you hold on to all these things that you care about so much. There are people that will shoot you over the things that they have in their home. But when God takes them from you, it's nothing that you can do. So it reminds us to let these things go because they can mean more to somebody who needs them. If we didn't have such a greedy world, then wouldn't be people breaking into houses for them. California was complaining about criminals and breaking into houses while they have the highest homeless population, the most expensive, the most taxation, the most inflation. And then all of a sudden, all of the wealthy just lose their possessions. And what was it worth now? It would have been better if you gave to those in need. So we're going to make sure that find some time and we give away a lot of material possessions, clothes, and other things that people may need as they're starting over. And I want to work with brands out there. If you have a brand and you have something that you want to give away, we're going to allow brands to participate in this. I know Actively Black has already hit me up to where people are able to send it in. And what I will do with my platform, I'll give you free advertisement for all of the brands that send something in, right, that wants to be a part of this giveaway, right? I think that we should all focus on how we can help and assist others and watch how your blessings become magnified during this time. So if anybody that wants to participate in that, email me at 19keys at 19keys.com during this time, please. If you have N95 masks, things of that nature, we're going to organize this thing, right? So that when people are trying to get their lives together, we can make it a little easier for them, that they're not trading their time to try to get back the possessions that they lost. If you have a business that fits in that category, we will work with you. And I also want somebody that can help organize this whole entire thing. So if anybody would like to volunteer, please email us at 19keys at 19keys.com. If there's anybody that has high level luxury properties that we can work with in exchange as we vlog our experience and we vlog your properties and things of that nature. So when we evacuate, and I'm not talking about LA area because I had a lot of people, beautiful people, I appreciate hit me up about properties in the LA area. The goal is to get out the LA area, right? So it can be in Texas, it can be in Atlanta, it could be, shoot, it could be in Japan if you got something. But I was thinking, I want to start working more within our network because we have to go into this time where we know how to work with each other resources and barter. And we got to get away from just this complete system of greed, I think. Part of the save yourself philosophy is living in such a way to where you are in harmony and adaptability and you have strategies for the times that you're living in. So you have complete resilience and you have a way to move forward regardless of what's happening. In my mind, there's nothing that can happen outside of losing my own life that will stop me from moving forward for my own people and doing good. So during this time, we extend that hand of collaboration. I know there are many brands out there, many people out there, right, that could collaborate, and we can utilize our platform to amplify you, to give you way more than you possibly could. But during this time, I think that it'd be beautiful if stories of collaboration came out of this. Because when Allah whispers to, he tells me during any time of tragedy, inspire the people. That's what he tells me. He say, during times of tragedy, when people are down and downtrodden and depressed, inspire the people. Because in the dark, people need light the most. And these are dark times. But things could be worse and they will get better. Things could be worse and they will get better. So we focus on forward thinking always. Now, I want to go over a few things for people that may be staying in the LA area. First of all, there are ways to create, you want to seal your home and minimize smoke infiltration because right now the air that may be seeping through the gaps is toxic, right? And it's not good for you. Especially, please do not run outside, right? Do not spend much time outside. Besides, maybe you're going to and fro to a car, right? And I suggest that you have a mask. You want to seal your windows and doors. You can use duct tape to seal them, the windows and doors. Close the windows, vents, and make sure everything is tightly closed during these smoky conditions that you may experience outside. Do not let your children play outside. Don't let that get into their lungs. It can have a long-term issue, maybe them developing asthma and things of that nature over time. And you do not know what's in the air, which could be cancer causing once it gets into your lungs. Um, You want to utilize DIY solutions within the home. You can get box fans, HEPA, or MERV 13 filters, which are available at the hardwood store. You can attach a filter to the back of the fan and put the airflow in a direction, right, that matches the filter's markings. And then you place the fan in the most used and run area in the house so that it circulates that air within the house and it filtrates it. If you want a simpler way to do this that is very cost effective, you can place bowls of activated charcoals in rooms with smells of smoke. So if you notice one room in your house that smells of smoke more, put charcoal in there and replace it every few days for optimal effect. I earlier had me some mullein tea, which helps detoxify your lungs. So mullein tea is very good to order and to drink during this time, right? To help detox those lungs. You can hang damp towels or sheets, open windows and doors if ventilation is needed. The moisture helps capture the smoke particles before they enter your home. And you want to make sure that you manage indoor airflow, which prevents smoke from circulating inside the house. So you'll turn off your HVAC systems and set them to recirculate air to avoid bringing in outdoor smoke. Use ceiling fans to redistribute clean filtered air more effectively. Use natural air purifiers, spider plant, peace lily, bamboo palm. Then salt lamps. Himalayan salt lamps help neutralize some of the smoke odors. Place those in the high traffic areas that have continuous traffic, right, and continuous exposure. You can also utilize vinegar that can neutralize smoke odors naturally. So these are some of the ways that you can look, and you can look up more ways if you want to find them. The beauty of the times that we're living in is that we have access to information, but it's only valuable when you execute it. So you can utilize your chat GPTs and your AI to come up with some of these remedies at home on what to do. You should be utilizing this as a companion as you're learning about your environment. You're learning about the quality of your air. You're learning about the remedies that you can utilize to stay safe right during this time, to execute during this time. It's very important. So those who are looking for places to stay, of course, Airbnb has said that you can go to airbnb.org and you can prove displacement that you are in evacuation area. And I believe that they have a program to where if you are an owner of a property, then you can also directly work with them to donate your space to people who have been evacuated and or has lost everything. They have programs out there that if you lost your home and you still have to pay taxes on it, then if you can prove that you're in a shelter, in a hotel, you lost everything, there are programs that will help pay those taxes off so you don't have to worry about it. Don't have the name at the moment, but we will post it on the high level conversation page. So please follow there as well. I just want to end off on this last part. And I thank you all for giving me your time today. I just want to end off on this last part about, and I'm going to drop an entire article about this, so that you all can get this and be able to reread this and share it. And it's called The Flames of Reckoning, a philosophical reflection on humanity's path. The recent catastrophic fires in California serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of our action. They highlight critical issues: the insurance denial, the taxation, the ambient loss, the water scarcity, the technological inadequacies. Number one, human misalignment. Our relentless pursuit of extraction and technological advancement driven by profit rather than people and safety has led us to a point of crisis. The fire symbolizes a reckoning, a natural response to our imbalance. The symbolism of fire as a purifying force urges us to reflect on our actions. It's a reminder that our material achievements are impermanent and our true focus should be harmony and sustainability. This event invites us to reconsider our relationship with nature. It emphasizes regeneration, flow, and balance over extraction and dominance. Nature's destructive power, like fire, can be seen as a cleansing of our collective actions. Whenever there's a cleansing, there's a renewal of the land of a new time. So, even in the darkest times, it should be seen always with a lesson of light. Realigning with nature, valuing the immaterial, and fostering sustainability so we can find harmony and avoid future destruction. This is a reflection and a call to awaken and shift our priorities and embrace a more balanced and sustainable path. I leave you all with those words, and I look forward to collaborating with some of you all during these times. And I ask that you, when you speak, you think before you speak, and you speak with wisdom, right? You think 5 times or 20 times before you speak, and you might be right. That's what I was taught by Honorable Elijah Muhammad when we were younger. We got that lesson. And I think that we should all take that time to do that and be careful what we share and why we share it, and ask ourselves, what is our attention, right? So there's things that we may not cherish until they're gone. Air is one of them. Air, prana, life, breath, spirit. When God chokes the environment, there's no spirit in that environment. So California is going through a choking. And the question becomes, what does it mean? What did you learn from it? And as you observe this, probably from more distant lands, ask yourself, are you prepared for something to happen where you are? Do not get caught off guard when you can learn from another man's lessons, when you can learn from another woman's misfortune. People have lost their entire homes and they may not have the ability to rebuild. What are you learning from this right now? You may have wanted what they have. You may have wanted to change positions, not knowing what was going to happen to them in their position. You may have not liked where you at and be like, man, I wish I had one of those houses, not knowing the next week, the next day, it would be destroyed. And you don't have the ability to replace it. That's why we focus on what we have and we are grateful for where we are. And we count the steps of our own progress rather than the next man's journey. Because you never know where his is going or taking him. And as you're not focused on your own steps, you make missteps, and that's when you fall. But God doesn't make mistakes. So when he gives you a lesson, learn. Or he has to give you another lesson until you learn. And if you never do, then you fail the test. I'm 19 Keys. May this fire cleanse us all and remind us to be better, to be more righteous, and to be more harmony. Make sure you email me at 19keys@19keys.com if you want to help donate to the people that are in need, right? Or if you want to collaborate with us as we're looking for a new space. Peace, family.